Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited to be talking with you guys today. This is like my fourth time trying to record this video in the last hour. Things keep happening. There's either noise disturbance or I record with my phone, so my phone is like running out of space now that I've made like, I think will be my 9th or 10th video, something like that. Man, it's just been a lot of struggles and I'm sad because I haven't talked with you guys in a couple weeks, but today's the day and we're just gonna sit and chill and chat. Yeah, I'm running out of daylight, so let's just get into this. So I'm upset because I just spoke for like 20 minutes telling you guys about a bunch of different things and that footage was not actually recording because my phone was out of space. It's fine, we'll start from here. So I think what I was saying is that the last video that I uploaded was my Devil in the Music Industry Part 1. I am still gonna upload Devil in the Music Industry Part 2. It might take a little while. There's a lot of details I want to add, and I might even make it like a Part 3 and 4 and just spread it out over time because there's so much on the topic that I want to discuss. But I digress about that. That video is still coming. Let me also just start by saying that when I was editing part 1 of The Devil in the Music Industry, I was sitting in my room. I have my headphones in. I have them on like the volume on full blast because apparently I talk pretty quietly when I'm recording sometimes. So I have to go in and edit my sound and my videos, you know, obviously. And so I had my headphones in full blast and for no reason at all, while I was editing this part in the video where I was talking about like how many lost souls there are in today's world and how I used to be there and like I feel bad for that and like I used to be consumed in like so many different sins and just talking about how I want to help people and whatever I was saying. As I was editing that part, this super loud white static noise came blasting through my headphones and it scared me so bad that I threw my AirPods out onto the ground and my husband's sitting on the bed like next to me and he was like, "What happened?" And I was like, this white noise, like I was like shaking. I actually couldn't even speak for a second and he told me that like he could hear like the static noise coming through my headphones, like it was so loud and it scared me so bad, like I was shaking. I just knew that that was the enemy trying to scare me because a lot of the times, like when, at least for me, right? When I have tried to speak more boldly about my faith, when I have tried to expose the darkness, I feel like I get attacked a lot from Satan, from the enemy. And that was just crazy because in my demonic encounters video, I actually talked about something similar like that happening to me. You know, this demonic guitar riff like came through my computer and it scared me and like there was just no reason for it at all. Like I edit in Final Cut Pro. Up to that moment, my computer did start to have some issues, like it was lagging and stuff, but I really just to my core feel like that was the enemy trying to attack me. And that being said, that will lead into my next point, and it's that this year I feel that I have been spiritually attacked a lot. Now, for the past couple years, I live in Arizona now, but for the past couple years I was living in Colorado and I wasn't going to church. I was still watching my church service online, but I wasn't actually going, and I deeply feel the difference now between watching church from a distance and now physically going and physically being a part of the community again. I genuinely feel like something doesn't want me to make this video because I keep having to stop and like for all these different reasons and whatever. Back to the point, I don't know what I was just saying. So basically, like all I'm trying to say is that this year, since I moved to Arizona, my spiritual faith has grown a lot. Actually, I guess it started before that. It started really at the beginning of this year because I dealt with like some really intense things with my family. I'm not gonna get too deep into that, but we'll get into that in a second. It really propelled me to grow my relationship with God. So for the first time in my life, I started diligently reading the Bible, which sounds silly. Like I've been a Christian for several years now, but I never actually sat down to fully read the Bible. Like I would do Bible plans that they have on the Bible app. I would read verses of the day, verses on Pinterest. Of course, I'm studying the word when I'm at church and all of that, but I never actually sat down to read the Bible for its fullness, like word for word, every page, you know what I mean? So this year I decided that that was something that I was going to do. So I believe it was like in March or April of this year, I started to read the Gospels, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then I started reading the New Testament. So I have finished the New Testament now, and I'm now reading the Old Testament, and I'm on Exodus, which I'll bring up again in a second because I was reading a verse today that I felt like was relevant in today's culture, well, with today's issues. So I don't want to make this super long. I want to get to the point. So, you know, with spiritual growth comes spiritual attacks. Really. I feel like I have been attacked so much by the enemy, by the devil this year. And I don't think that that's a coincidence that I'm happen to be growing in my faith as well at the same time. It's just like one thing after another, like literally since New Year's of this year. And, you know, of course I was struggling before that and whatever, but literally since New Year's of this year, like it has just been one thing after another. A lot of it has been family related. Other parts of it are just personal, you know, overcoming my own demons that I've dealt with throughout my whole life, like self-doubt, not feeling good enough, healing from old wounds, old relationships, really just healing a deeper part of myself. And then while also trying to figure out like, what do I want out of life? You know, like it's just been a constant struggle, and I've constantly been having these trials and tribulations, and it's getting annoying to say because it feels like something I'm constantly saying now, like trials, tribulations, like the whole world's out to get me. It's just, I don't want to play like a victim or anything like that, you know? And if my words and my thoughts are rather scattered right now, I have had a very intense amount of B12 today. So I'm kind of all over the place, but yeah, my family has been very heavily attacked this year. It's been really heavy on my mental state while you're trying to go through like your own growth and your own spiritual walk with Christ. And then basically, you know, I've been going through a lot of trials this year, and my family has been going through a lot of trials. In the last couple of weeks, my grandma last minute kind of moved in with us. I don't know if it's temporary or not. Everything's still up in the air right now. My grandma has early, not so early signs anymore of dementia and Alzheimer's. It's been very hard on the family. More importantly, it's been hard for her, obviously. And so that has been the latest struggle. It's made recording very hard. There's always been something going on in the house that like me or my husband need to help out with, you know. We're staying with my mom and my stepdad temporarily for the moment. My brother also moved in with us recently. It's just been like a lot. Like I feel like I'm living in a circus right now. And so all of this is to say that I've been going through a lot. And, you know, I had a really bad mental breakdown last week. Things got really dark for a moment. My mind went to places that it hasn't been to in years. Since before, like, I fully devoted my life to Christ. Like, I have not felt that intensely. Like, it was like the enemy crept into my mind. Like, things just got so dark for a moment. And granted, like, it only lasted for a moment. Because the thing about being a Christian is now, it's not that you don't go through things. It's not that I don't go through things or that I handle everything with peace all the time, you know? I feel like that was a misconception that I made in my testimony video, that like, oh, everything's peaceful now. I'm gonna make a testimony part 2 to clarify what I meant by that, but I didn't mean that my life is completely peaceful. And I didn't mean that I feel peace 24/7 now. Like, the thing is about when it comes to being a Christian, like, being a Christian is not about never dealing with things. Your life is simple now. I feel like it almost gets harder because you're forced to make the right choices and the right decisions because you have God to hold yourself accountable to. It definitely doesn't mean that your life is easier, but it does give you a reason and a hope to keep picking yourself back up. I can only speak for myself, but it has helped me deal with things more. Like in that moment where things got really dark, it was only dark for a moment because my faith is in God. And God is the ruler of all things. He is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Jesus is. When I have been facing these trials and tribulations, it's like, yeah, I do stumble, I do fall. I might even sin, you know? There's a lot of things that I have still needed to to cleanse myself of so that I can better go to God and put him first. Though I've been having a hard time actually using the Bible and actually using the word has helped so much, and it's still something that I'm learning to do more diligently. I'm still learning how to put God first in all these different situations and stuff. All of that is to say to keep persevering through your trials and your tribulations. One of my favorite verses is from James, and it's in James 2-4, and it says, "Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you will be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And that's the point of, when we deal with things like spiritual warfare. The spiritual warfare in my own life has been so intense this year. It's really broken me down in a lot of ways, and I've just had to keep picking myself back up. Perseverance, I got tattooed on my arm, faith, trust, perseverance, because I love the word perseverance, because to me it's about picking yourself back up and trying again and again and again, as many times as you have to, regardless of whether you feel like it or not. And throughout my own history of dealing with things like depression and anxiety and self-doubt, I've really had to just keep persevering through those emotions. It's like, and every time that I did, that I felt depressed and I chose to persevere through my problems, it was so rewarding. It's something that I constantly have to work on, and I hope that this was all making sense. I'm trying to make this quick before I run out of daylight, which I'm quickly running out of now that I've tried to film this for 2 hours now. But also don't know how relevant this is, but I did want to talk about this passage that I was reading in Exodus today. On the subject of perseverance, it's like, okay, you can tell yourself to persevere through your problems as many times as you want, and sometimes we don't have the strength. Sometimes our faith is lacking, we don't have the courage or the strength or the faith to persevere. So then, as I was reading Exodus today, it was talking about how God brought the Israelites out of Egypt and how he performed all these wonders and all these miracles. And yet, when Moses was led by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, the Israelites doubted a lot. There was a few days they were in the desert and they were out of food. And they were cursing Moses, saying why have you brought us here to die? And Moses was like, why are you blaming me? If you have a problem, you need to go to God. And why are you testing God? And it's another time in Exodus, it talks about how they didn't have water for a few days. And so God told Moses to hit this rock and that water would come out of this rock. I would love to do a full Bible study on Exodus, but I'm very much paraphrasing these stories. It just reminded me, the Israelites kept complaining about not having food, not having water. God is the provider, right? And it's hilarious because God had performed all these miracles. He parted the seas in front of them. They walked through the ocean as it rose up like two walls on both of their sides. All the plagues that God sent through Egypt because Pharaoh would not let the Israelites go. The Israelites watched so many of these crazy things happen, and yet they still doubted God. In my opinion, it's okay, if I watched God part the seas, in front of my face, I think I would have more faith. But at the same time, and that's to say wow, the Israelites are just super ungrateful, right? or something, And it's what? No, because we do that on a daily basis, as believers. I do that all the time, where I completely doubt what God has or is going to do in my life. Even though he's done so much for me and he's performed so many miracles in my own life, it's I get so down on myself and I start to doubt, and I start doubting myself, and then depression comes in, and then you add anxiety in the picture. And I feel sometimes God is just shh, for a moment, be still and know that I am God. I think for one, also, it's very easy for us to look at someone else's situation and say, you know, to kind of mock them in a way and say that like they're not doing enough for the kingdom, or like they don't have enough faith, or like who are they? Or it's easy for us to look at someone else's situation and judge them. We do it a lot too, you know. I feel like we have to take ourselves accountable more, that, you know, we also need faith and we're not always the strongest with our faith. And I don't know, just to give more grace and peace to each other, and to pray for faith too. Like, you know, there's no prayer that's off limits to God. He might say no, but like, it's not a crime to pray for faith. We can absolutely pray for more faith. And that's something that I've been needing to work on more as I've dealt with all of these things. It's been a roller coaster. I feel like, especially since I started this channel, the enemy has attacked me a lot, especially when I've been making videos like my testimony, like my demonic encounters video, like the devil in the music industry. Like, the more faith-based videos that I post, like ones that I feel like are truly led by the Holy Spirit, the enemy attacks a lot, which can be discouraging, but it's also a good sign, in my opinion. It's a good sign that you're on the right track. Like this verse in James says, it says, "Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." So as hard as it is to not take, you know, things that happen to us so seriously and so personally, like, we do have to take into consideration that they are for our greater good, and that God has the win at the end of the day, and he will carry us through our problems. And a lot of the times we go through these trials because he wants to teach us how to better rely on him and how to better put him first. And yeah, so that's something that I've had to work on. I just wanted to say again, sorry for not posting a video the last couple weeks. It's just, there's been so much that's been going on in my home and in my heart. And I wanted to make this video because I know that there's a lot of people out there that have probably been going through the same things, if not worse things than me. And I just want, and I pray that this is encouragement for you today. Keep trusting in God, putting your faith in him, and he will see you through. I promise. He is good. He is faithful. So anyway, before my phone runs out of space and the sun is completely set, I just want to say thank you for watching today's video. I know it was a little bit shorter than my other ones, but I have a really good video coming for you guys next week. We're going to be talking about the devil in the music industry part 2, and there's a bunch of other ideas of content that I have coming your way as well, and I'm very excited. Thank you for being patient with me during this time, and I love you guys so much. I pray you have a good night. I love you. God loves you, and I'll see you later. Bye guys.